In the grim darkness of the far future, there is only very expensive plastic crack. Today, on Model Reviews by Hans, I am talking about Games Workshop, Warhammer, Citadel, whatever name you want to call them these days. Their Warhammer 40,000 lineup or their Age of Sigmar lineup, something you might have heard of through some of the massive extensions of this product line that's out there. Figures, kits, that's one thing, but they've got video games, they've got books, they've got merchandise, they've got movies. Some of them are worth watching, kinda, most of them suck. Anyway, huge product line from these guys, and I'm going to talk about them from the standpoint of model building. So, yes, I get that this is a tabletop gaming system. I'm not talking about it as a gaming system. I'm talking about the kits here. So if you're looking for lore or you're looking for rules, interpretations, things like that, go find another channel. If you're looking to see how these things build as model kits and how you as a model builder might be interested, like and subscribe. Anyway, enough of the goofiness here. I'm going to start talking about these kits. So Warhammer, Citadel, Games Workshop, been around for quite some time. About the early 80s or so, I believe, is when they first started releasing product. Of course, you can tell I did so much research here. It's all coming out of my head. So anyway, their initial product lineups were all metal figurines, some metal vehicles. Yes, metal, white metal vehicles. I've heard many stories of the damage that they could do if you dropped a metal dreadnought on your foot. And over the past 30 years or so, their product line has expanded tremendously. Their technology has expanded tremendously. Everything at this point has essentially moved to full plastic. You know, there was a transitionary period for a while where you would have kits that are some stuff metal, some stuff plastic, some that was half and half. At this point, pretty much everything is all in plastic. I think there might be one or two metal figures left. There might be some. After a while, the metal stuff, rather than go to full plastic, they morphed the metal into their resin line, or they called it a fine cast resin. I think even the resin stuff is gone. So we're just talking about the modern stuff here. They're talking about the plastic kits, plastic figures. And if you haven't looked at these guys in the past 15 years or so, and you're thinking to myself, oh, they're Games Workshop, that stuff is crap. 20 years ago, their plastic vehicles were crap. Not gonna lie. I mean, I built some of their land speeders. Their land speeders were atrociously terrible kits to build. A lot of their scenery stuff, terrible to build at the time. But in, say, 2005 or so, I've never really narrowed down exactly where it was. They had a huge shift in how they were designing and producing their kits. Rather than using masters, pantographing them into a mold, they went full CAD design on them. And the quality has risen significantly to the point where I would recommend these as model kits for model builders now, whereas before it was, you like the stuff, it looks cool, you're going to suffer. No, these kits are actually quite pleasurable to build now. And they have an extensive lineup. Like I said, their primary line is the Warhammer 40,000, which is your grim, dark, futuristic, you know, the universe is coming to an end and everyone's fighting each other and it just keeps on going sort of thing. You also have your Age of Sigmar, which is their fantasy setting, which honestly I'm not sure if anybody can follow what the hell is going on in the lore and the stories for that these days, but it's a fantasy setting. And you're going to have a lot of corollaries between what they offer in the lineups. So when you have a fantasy lineup, of course you're going to have your dwarves, your elves, your humans, your undead stuff. A lot of your Tolkien, you know, J.R.R. Tolkien styled, you know, races and things like that are offered in those lineups. There's some more unique stuff that they've been releasing the past few years, which are really cool, such as the Slan, who are like underwater. Actually, I don't even know well enough to say what they are, but they're interesting. But you also have like a rat-based race, which is really cool, the Skaven, and a lot of cool stuff in there. And the Warhammer 40,000 has morphed itself into a space sci-fi version of J.R.R. Tolkien-inspired races. So you have your superhumans, you know, your space marines, you have your regular humans, your Necrons, which are robot space skeletons, you have your Eldari, which are space elves, your Votann, who were once called Squat until they were eaten by the Tyranid and came back in a different lineup, they're space dwarves. Your Tyranids are, if you played StarCraft, very similar to the Zerg. So, like, most of you guys are going to be watching this saying, boy, why are you really dumbing this down? I'm talking to model builders here that have never really looked at this lineup. Anyway, their kits are built very different than standard model kits. So your regular model kits are they're designed to build and put them up on a shelf for display. Don't touch, look at them. Otherwise, they're like a couple videos ago, you saw me knock an MG42 off a German half-track because model kits built on historical precedent, historical vehicles are typically more delicate. These are built to be handled. They're built for you to pick them up, drop them on the table, shove them, a whole bunch of them into a box, shaking everything around. You drive a couple hours, you go play a game, you get your ass kicked, you're in a bad mood, you come home, you just shove the thing into the closet. You don't handle anything gently. This stuff's going to survive that, or at least most of it will. There's some delicate things in there too, but I mean, like I said, compared to, a 172nd airplane, this sucker's going to survive. You might get some scratches on the paint, but honestly, that just makes it look better over time for what they are. And if you're looking for cool stuff to build, and you want you want to get away from historical stuff, doing all the research, making sure you have all the right colors, you just want to build something for fun. These guys are what you want to look at because they have so much cool stuff in such a broad product range. You can go to their website, just find something that looks cool, you click, you buy it, comes to your house. You don't have to worry about having the right color green. You don't even have to, if you want it to be red, make it red. You want it to be blue, make it blue. I like yellow, so I have my Imperial Fists. And if you look in the official rules, I probably don't match it. As long as it generally looks like what you want it to look like, you're fine. And their kits are good kits. They build up very nicely. Now, Warhammer has always had a reputation for being very expensive. And in a lot of ways, that reputation is well earned, and it's true. For instance, I have one figure here. This is a red Gobbo from a couple years ago, one of their their holiday figures. That figure alone was $40 plus tax. For $40, I can get a pair of Edward 172nd planes. I can get a master grade Gundam. I might not be able to get the best kits out there for armor, but I can get some decent 135th armor stuff out there if I'm looking at older molds or stuff like that. Box of figures. Here we go. We got, how many is there? 14 figures? No, 12 figures here in the Orc Kill Team set. $60. Looking a lot more reasonable here, isn't it? The Leviathan set here. This was their 10th edition release set. You've got a hell of a lot of stuff in here for a little over $200, including a rule book, which is $50 on its own. So, $150 worth of stuff in here. Honestly, you'd probably spend $300, $400, $500 to get this stuff if you bought it all individually. So there's ways to make this affordable. And like I said, their kits, though, their vehicle kits, are priced very comparatively and very competitively to a lot of your 135th armor. Like, for instance, $50, $60, $75, $80, $100 is not unheard of for 135th armor kits. There's a lot of the lineup in the Warhammer 40,000 in that same price range. You can get a Land Raider, you can get a Le Mans Russ battle tank, you can get an Aldari Grav tank. A lot of really cool vehicles in the same product price range as your scale model stuff. And so, like I said, partly true, partly not true with how expensive it is. Now, if you're fielding multiple armies at a full 2,000 points, you're going to have a hell of a lot of stuff on the table. Yes, that gets very expensive. You have to fill it full of terrain, that gets expensive. But if you're building a couple kits here and there, and they look fun and you want to build them, not so bad. The other thing, too, is that because this grew up out of a different customer base, how these are built and marketed and what the community within the Warhammer world, how they paint things is done very differently. Now, if you're doing your 172nd, 135th, planes and tanks and stuff like that, you're typically going to be airbrushing, or at least wanting to have an airbrush, maybe some aerosol, stuff like that. But most of your paint's going to be sprayed. Within the Warhammer world, it's actually kind of frowned upon. Most of the people out there are going to say that if you're using an airbrush, you're cheating. All of the stuff on the table here, this was all brush painted. Nothing was sprayed on this table. And they have a very good line of brush paintable paints for it. And they will have, it's not on this box, but they'll have a thing on the back of the box showing you the 36 different colors that you can use to get what they have in the box. They sell a lot of accessories and a lot of paints. But these kits, like I said, the modern Warhammer stuff is actually quite good, quite well made. Depending on what you're looking for, can be very reasonably priced. It's different, it's fun. You can handle it, you can move around with it, and you're freed from the restraints of historical schemes. you can do whatever the heck you want. You look on the online forums or Twitter, Blue Sky, what have you. People are doing all sorts of stuff on there, and I got to tell you, a lot of people out here doing the paint jobs on these things. There are some phenomenal artists building and painting Warhammer figurines and vehicles. Honestly, as good, if not better, than a lot of the 135th Armor guys and the 172nd Airplane guys. Top tier in all of those, you're at the same level. I mean, stylistically, it's different, but damn, this stuff looks good out there. So anyway, let's crack open a box here. I'll show you what I'm talking about in these kits, give you a better feel for what you're going to get, how they're going to be packaged, and how things are looking as a model kit. But we'll take a look here first at some of the finished product here before we go into the box, because these are so, like I said, different than what you might be used to as a scale model builder. So we have an Imperial Knight here, one of the armigers, and this is, for the army that they're in, one of the lesser point valued of the knights. The bigger ones are significantly larger, but I don't have one that's finished here. And Warhammer used to have a reputation for a lack of detail, being just very chunky and muddy and blah. That's no longer really the case. And in many ways, I actually kind of feel that in some areas, they've almost over-detailed their kits. Now, the molding is not going to be as fine. You're not going to see as tiny of a detail in there, but you're going to see a lot of detail in there. They really do put a lot into the kits that they can show. So you're not going to have big flat areas of nothingness. You're going to have a lot of, not the smallest detail, but you're going to have detail pretty much all over the thing, top to bottom. So we have here our knight. Forget the name of this guy. I'll have to look it up, but I'm not going to worry about it right now. One of their figurines, like I said, very detailed. Not finely detailed, but extensively detailed. Like on this Redemptor Dreadnought here, there's no spots that are not somehow detailed up. And in that way, if you are looking for something complex but easy to build, these kits will definitely fit the ticket. So now let me open up a box here to show you how things look on the sprues. And I don't actually have any unbuilt vehicles right now. So we're going to go with opening up the Leviathan box set. Now, I actually haven't built anything out of this here, so I had taken a lot out, hoping to kind of put everything back in there properly. And you're going to notice one of the things you're going to find is that they really put a lot into their packaging. I mean, they really put a lot of work into their packaging. You have full color artwork everywhere showing very, very well built, very well painted examples of what's in the box on the box. On every side. Like here you have just examples of 10 different Space Marine Terminators in different chapters that you could possibly do. All the figures that are included there. Now it does of course include the Ballistus Dreadnought, so I'm going to show you that a little bit here. And if we do this without getting everything out, I'll show you the back. It shows you a full army built up on the back of both sides, including everything that is packaged in here. So, like I said, for the most part, they really put a lot into the packaging. Now, for some less common stuff, older boxings, things like that, they do have a generic box that's just like plain black and white, but you really don't see that too often unless you're building older kits. Instructions, now because this is a box set, they actually have a box set specific instruction. Gives you an example of, this is everything in the box to build. And you're going to have glossy artwork, full color, showing you all the different options you can build on everything in the box. Now, like I said, because when you buy these bigger starter sets, now this particular one is no longer available, but they'll always have some kind of large starter set, you get a lot in there. And this is the fun part. Usually on their starter set, their more basic stuff, these are actually push fit. They do not require glue. You can glue them, of course, but glue is not required. Then they'll show you some of the options that are available because, like I said, it is part of a tabletop gaming system. So you have different weapons options, things like that, depending on how you want to play. So they'll give you the points values, what they look like. And in this particular set, you really don't have many options, but most of their standard lineups, you have so many options that you're going to have just, if you build this stuff enough, you're going to have huge piles of spare parts. And with the Tyranids here, very different looking. Honestly, I love the look of the Tyranids. Just very nasty space monsters. Like I said, if you're familiar with StarCraft, these are essentially a much nastier version of the Zerg. But I'm dating myself there now by talking about StarCraft. But yeah, instructions are very comprehensive. Typically pretty easy to follow. Give you a lot of information. And again, on the back here shows you, so this is all the Tyranid stuff included in this box. Like I said, there's a lot in there. And of course you have a semi-equal amount of points value worth of Space Marines. You usually get some kind of nice, like I said, this is all just part of the standard packaging. Like this is just cool artwork that you get. When you get into it though, oh boy, there's a lot of plastic in here, isn't there? And you'll notice nothing is bagged. Absolutely nothing is bagged. They never bag anything. Honestly though, their stuff is so durable you don't have to worry about it. You could dig through here forever to get to the bottom, which I'll kind of have to do to show you everything. Like I was telling you, if you buy smart, it's not that expensive. You get big decal sheet with the big kits. I actually like this one now. They used to not have the Imperial Fists on there, which was annoying, but now they do. Which will have your bases in there as well. And just typically you'll have some other stuff as needed. And the big hardbound rulebook, which I'm not going to go into because, like I said, this is, well, I'll momentarily look at it. The rulebooks are typically only a little bit of rules, mostly artwork and information and lore and stuff like that to inspire you to build and paint more and more and more stuff. They make everything look so cool that if you're not careful, you're going to end up with 6 different armies, only a third of which is built and a quarter of that is painted. And yeah, it becomes a problem. So an interesting thing that you see with their sprues is they have a standard sprue size. So this is their big sprue, and typically this is going to be sized to fit the boxes. Their boxes are pretty standard size as well. But you see now you have their medium sprue is half the size of the big sprue. And then they cut that down half again. So like I said, it's standardized sprue size to standardize the box size, which is pretty cool. But I'm looking through here because I'm going to bring out the Ballistus Dreadnought, which is the vehicle in this kit. Of Tyranid stuff go back in, and of course, I'm missing some parts here, I think. Or I'm not. This is one of the drawbacks of these large kits is, like I said, there's a lot in here. Kind of can be hard to manage at times. Nope, I think I got everything. I'm not sure. Getting it back in though, yeah, it takes some time. I'm not really going to make an effort to get all this back in here. We're going to look at the actual kit, or the Ballistus Dreadnought. Now, you're going to notice one thing right away is that everything has a very chunky feel to it, right? Their sprues are very thick. They're always going to be in the same dark gray plastic. And heavy attachment points. Just very, like I said, very durable is one way you could describe it. And they're weird sprues too. Like if you look at them, they're more square now than they used to be. They used to be like a, yeah, they got a little bit of a bell to them, but they're more like a weird trapezoidal shape to their sprues, which is unique to them. I've really never seen that on anybody else. But you start looking past the chunkiness of the sprues, you're going to notice that the parts are actually quite well molded. I mean, there is a lot of detail on here, and you can optionally do a lot of different things. You can not put the cover on, so you can leave a lot of the sarcophagus there exposed, and just well-made kits. Now, most of them are also going to have part number on them. Like for instance here, Games Workshop Limited 2023, let you know when that particular design came out. And here, the other thing you're going to notice, now it's a different version, but it's going to be approximately this sized here. Like I said, different version. Not that many parts to it. So this particular one, because it is a starter kit type set, not many options to it. You basically build it in one version. It's very simplified. when you get to their mainline kits, so stuff when you're buying them individually. So this is the Ballistus Dreadnought, which is basically it's just a laser cannon and missile launcher combo. The Redemptor Dreadnought had a lot of different options on it, a lot larger part count to it. So you're going to get a lot of these kits with more parts if you buy individual type packagings. The starters kit stuff is, like I said, typically more simplified as far as build and options, but the final product really does not look any less. It's still going to look fairly well detailed. Like for instance here, one of the Eradicators here, this guy was a starter kit version, and they do offer a more detailed, not a more detailed, but a more posable version in the standard line kit, but they look quite nicely together. And with their vehicles, a lot of stuff is posable. Now I have it glued in, but when it was buildable, I could have had all the fingers were posable, the arms were posable, the legs were posable. You could really do a lot with it. That's, like I said, your standard line kits. Starter kits are what they call a monopose kit. These guys basically go together one way. You can't pose them without cutting them apart, which is unfortunate, but that's how it is at times. Now, with the Imperial Knight, again, everything here was posable. I have it all glued, but you could have had the head facing different directions, the torso turned, everything, a lot of posability to it, which is not available in the starter kits. But yeah, so like I said, these kits they're not complex. There's a lot of parts to them, but they're not complex. They build easily. Starter kits, like I said earlier, do not require glue. Their more advanced kits will. It's standard model glue is what you need. They have their own glue, which is decent. And these things build up pretty stinking nice. And they come with bases, like the big round bases here, if you want to use them for model purposes. They're required if you're going to be using it for gaming. If you're building a model, it's up to you what you want to do. And also, like their terrain. Now, the terrain's hit or miss. This is one of their more recent terrain sets, so quite nicely detailed. I forget what color they showed in the artwork, but again, I did the color I wanted. Some of their older terrain, oh god. Yeah, they re-release some of their old stuff from time to time, and it does not build well, but it's also because you're not worried about millimeter perfect accuracy. Don't worry about it. But like I said, so this is Games Workshop's builds in a nutshell. Chunky, blocky, durable, cool, and surprisingly well detailed compared to what their older offerings were. So let me go grab another thing here real quick to show you, and we'll give you another example of, like I said, this is a starter kit. I'll give you an example of non-starter type stuff. So first thing somebody's going to point out is that this is not the current Assault Terminator box set. This is the previous generation, but for the purposes of what we're doing here, it's perfectly acceptable. Again, nice artwork all around, full color, full glossy. Smaller boxes are side opening. And again, we are into their standard sprue sizes. These are a bit older generation, and you can see, again, still, actually, you're noticeably chunkier in their sprues. But still, even their older stuff, full color glossy instructions. These guys are a little different, which is why I wanted to show you, where you do have multiple options available for you. So this is what you're going to find in most of your stuff that does not come as part of a big box set. You have your option of your lightning claws, your thunder hammer and storm shield, your sergeant for higher points value, and you have a lot of different ways to do it. I mean, you have different shoulder pads, different weapons options. This is what your normal kits are going to look like. I mean, you have all sorts of different stuff here, and which means you're going to, like I said, have a lot of stuff left over. And these are fully posable. These will require glue. But here, this is for a 5-piece set of Terminators, 5 sets of lightning claws, 5 sets of thunder hammers with storm shields, and plenty of shoulder pads. But like I said, this is pretty typical of what you're going to see. Like I said, this is not the current generation, but it represents fairly well of what your posable standardized figurines are going to look like. More parts, more options. Still, same basic stuff, just more posable, little more fun. And that is your Terminators. Oh, and of course, you're always going to receive the appropriate size bases for whatever you're building and whatever the current, at the time, generation of generic decals, or they call them transfers, is included. So this is a 2017 edition here. I believe the molding on these is a little older than that, but yeah. So that is a set of Terminators. Now, I totally get it. I've only shown you a couple things here, and if you're familiar with Warhammer, you know how absolutely expansive their lineup is. And to be honest, this is the first time I'm doing a review of a company that has this much of a lineup, this much of a history. But damn, they're cool. And there's a reason why these guys are such a big company and so popular and have so much going for them, despite the fact that it's all their own intellectual property. Their stuff is just so stinking cool looking. And I like to build these as sort of a palette cleanser from time to time, where if I've been obsessing over a super detailed build on something, grab one of these and just knock it out. I mean, there's 6 colors in here. 6. That's it. I didn't do any washes, very little detailing, but it's one of those, in a hurry, you can get a really cool looking thing that is going to stand out on your shelf. Very different from what your traditional scale models are going to be. And people are going to look at it and go, ooh, that's cool. Like, seriously, I mean, I could have all sorts of awesome builds on my shelf and people are going to point at the yellow giant stompy robot. And the reputation for Games Workshop in a lot of ways is unwarranted from a model builder's perspective on cost. Because like I said, this is like a $60 kit. I can very easily spend 40, 50, 60 bucks on a decent airplane kit. I mean, a Tamiya 1/48 F4 Phantom is a $100 kit. This is cheaper. These guys are cheaper than most of your Tamiya stuff, to be quite honest. Your more modern Tamiya stuff is more expensive and comparably sized. And yeah, so a lot of value on these kits. Again, as long as you're smart with what you're buying. Buy the stuff that you enjoy. Their lineup is huge. There's no way I could possibly cover everything that they offer in a video under 5 hours, and no one's going to watch that. So if you're a model builder, do I recommend these? Oh, heck yeah, I recommend these. Now, if you're a new model builder, I'm going to recommend the hell out of these because they are fun. We do this for fun, right? We do this for fun, right? Anyway, if you're building models for fun, I'm going to say I'm rating these guys at an A, at least for a new model builder, you know, a casual model builder, because they build easy. You don't have to stress. You do whatever the hell you want with them. They look cool and you have fun with these. If you are a casual model builder, that is what you want. This is exactly what you want. They're not going to be some fragile things that you're worried about. These are things that you're going to be able to build well, build easy, paint them up good, pretty damn easily, and you don't have to worry about them getting busted all the time. Now, if you are a more experienced model builder, I'm going to be honest, I'm still going to rate these guys at an A level for you. Yes, I am rating these guys at A level for both sides, beginners, intermediate, expert, what have you, because yeah, they're a bit simpler to build, but the stylistic culture of the Warhammer is going to challenge you. I am a decent model builder. I'm not going to say I'm phenomenal, but building these different things breaks me out of my box, and it gets me building differently, and I learn a hell of a lot from these. And to be quite honest, when you build these things up nice, I mean, like I said, the guys that are doing this at the high-end level are as good as anybody else doing scale model work out there. There's no talent gap. The styles are different. The specific skill sets might be different, but they're still just as damn good. And yeah, I'm going to say that, okay, they're not super detailed stuff, but they are going to push your limits. They're going to make you want to build better. They're going to make you learn new techniques. And be honest, not being locked into historical, trying to match specific paint schemes, colors, things like that. You broaden your horizons and you're going to enjoy it. And you're going to get back to building really good models the way you want to build them. So yeah, if you're an experienced model builder, still check these out. They might not be the world's best kits, but you will benefit from building them. And that's where I'm going to leave this here. It's one of those, like I said, as a model builder, They're wargaming stuff. I get it. They're not a model company. It is a plastic vehicle that I cut off a bunch of sprues, used the same glues, the same paints, same tools, and yeah, these are models in every shape of the word. They just have a different purpose and a different build style due to it. Buy them, build them, enjoy them, and share them with me, because Warhammer is for everybody. It really is. It doesn't matter how you enjoy this hobby. You don't have to, if you want to play the game, play the game. If you don't want to play the game, you just want to build the models, go for it. If you don't want to do any of that, you just want to read the books, I highly recommend Gaunt's Ghosts as a series. Great series. Anyway, so that's where we're going to leave it here. Models reviews by Hans. Yes, these are models. These are awesome models. I'm rating it at an A for everybody. And I will catch you guys next time with something. I got something special for next time. Anyway, catch you later.